Happy New Year, everybody. I'm Susie Dingle, and I have a book to show you. Pardon my informal appearance. It is a very lazy day because it's snowing out, and I tried going out, but it was too slick to walk, and I don't have my walking poles with me. So instead, I decided I was going to do an impromptu video. Had planned to do this tomorrow, but we're doing it today. How to Eat Your Christmas Tree. This is a book review, a book that I picked up over the Christmas holiday while I was at Rogers Gardens. It grabbed me and I decided to buy it without completely scrutinizing it first. I'm glad I did, because I've learned a few things, and I'll tell you what those are, and then I'll tell you the things I might have done differently had I written this book. And I am in the process of publishing a book here coming up real soon. So I'm paying a special attention to things about how the book presents. First off, what is a Christmas tree? So the author, Julia Georgallis, thinks that a Christmas tree goes beyond the traditional conifer, evergreen, needle trees. And she extends her idea of a Christmas tree into plants like bamboo and olive and plum, which in some cultures, those trees are used at the wintry seasons or at the cold seasons, and I can see why they are. So she goes into how to eat certain kinds of evergreen trees, mostly as seasoning or as sauces for flavorings or in liqueurs, and I'm good with that. I'm fine with that. What I didn't really see, though, was how to actually eat the tree for like eating it. It was my fault for really not looking at the book. It's really a cool book as far as I learned things like how to turn the branches into ash and then use the ash to do blackened seasoning, which is really cool. I still have to research a lot of these things to see if they're actually items that I would want to go to the effort of making, but it's fun to know about it. And the other thing she does in her book is she takes a very strong stance on the socio-economic industry of Christmas trees and what it's doing to our planet. So was an interesting take, and I didn't expect to see that here, but I'm glad that those discussions are going on. I appreciate that. She also has some really interesting ways of disposing of the trees or utilizing them in addition to turning them into something edible. So that was good. The two things that I didn't see in it that I would have added to the content of the book would have been creating, and if you were going to just toss your tree or use it in the garden when it's dead, say a cut Christmas tree, you cut and then it won't live any longer. I would have included putting it in the garden and creating a mound out of it, and then to grow things in that mound. I believe that's called a hugelkultur, where you lay branches down, which are very moisture retentive. And then you put soils or leaves on top of that, and then you can plant plants into that mound. It's great if you want to do a big berm. Let's say you've got, instead of a fence line and you have enough property, you could create a berm. Then you can do that out of branches. So that's one way, an additional way in addition to the other things that she mentioned in the book. And then as far as keeping a live Christmas tree going, I don't think I read about the process of actually putting it in a pot and then keeping it the same size, which you can do by root pruning and by taking the tips off of the trees, especially a pine tree, because they grow in these candles, and if you just remove the end part that looks like a candle, you're going to keep the tree at a small size. So you can prune your trees that are in pots and also take them out every couple years and root prune them and put them back in the same pot. And think of it like a very big bonsai. So if I missed it in there, I'm really sorry. I don't want to say anything negative about the book as far as the content, because we all leave things out. I meant to say things and I didn't, so I know how that goes. The one thing I would have done differently in this book, and I'm just going to let you know about it in case I don't want to misguide you. For me, it's way too small a print. I mean, really, literally, even with my glasses, when I can read pretty well, it's the smallest print that I can read. And I don't really like straining when I'm reading. And there is a lot of white space around the type. So I think they had more room. Perhaps they were saving on ink, because I know she's eco-conscious. So I don't know. And also that some of the headings were just so faint, I could barely even make them out. The pictures are nice. The recipes are really interesting, because she's a chef or a baker, I believe. And so she's very tuned into the taste and mouthfeel and texture and all of that of her dishes. And I think she was going for that above trying to be a survival guide of how to go out and use a tree in order to survive in the wilderness. That wasn't the intent of this book. So for what it is, I think it's a really awesome book. It's a fun book to look at. And certainly if you're into making sauces and liqueurs and things like that, pickling things like pickled eggs, you'll find something of interest in here, as well as alternatives to the conifer trees for Christmas trees or no trees. She gives some ideas for that too. This looks really yummy. Here we go. Julia is an artisan baker and industrial designer. She graduated from the Wells College of Art in 2014 before working as a baker in London for a while. Oh, and here she gives a very strong warning about the types of needled evergreens that you should and should not eat. So make sure you check that out completely, because she does not want to lead you astray, and nor do I. In any event, I wanted to show you this book because I just thought it was a really cool idea. Maybe I will in the future try and share some foraging ideas. I do have a book. I couldn't lay my hands on it because right now I'm redoing my library. And I do have some books on how to actually like survival food in the Pacific Northwest forest. Thanks for joining me this New Year's Day. And I appreciate each and every one of you. And thanks again for just kind of putting up with my informal attire this morning. I just decided to make this video on the fly so I could get it out to you, because tomorrow I'm going to try and go outside again, and hopefully I'll be able to actually walk and not fall down and get done the things tomorrow that I was supposed to do today. All right, take care and have a really blessed day, and I hope you have a wonderful New Year ahead. Oh,